everyone. This is criminal profiler Pat Brown. And yesterday I did a short video on the news that came out that the Richard Allen defense team had this pile of documents that claimed that Abigail Williams and Libby German were murdered by an Odinist, how do we put this, an Odinist pagan group that committed a ritual sacrifice of the girls. All right. I sort of mocked it yesterday, and some people enjoyed my take on it. At that point, I had not seen the entire bunch of documents because I was told at the time I did the show that those documents have been out for a second and then pulled, so they were not available to the public. Well, they are available to the public now. I found them on Scribd. That's SCRIBD. I'll put the link below so you can go there and read the entire bit from the defense yourself. I have now read all of it. And so I've had people saying to me, the comments coming in from the last video, if clearly you didn't read everything, or you would have a different opinion about whether this guy is guilty, whether there is these Odinist guys, that they're the ones, it's this pagan religion. They're the ones who did this because they're like this white supremacists, and they're all involved in this, and they're really, they did it. And it's pointed out so much information, so much evidence in this document that came out. And I said three things yesterday. Why I thought why the defense put this document out, what they were trying to do. First, I said they were trying to stop any of the evidence from the search, anything from his house being entered into court, so that could not be used in a courtroom, because there is a reasonable amount of stuff that the police found at his home that they think is valuable evidence, and the defense team does not want that to be in court. So they're trying to say that the police did not look at the proper suspects, that they just basically, they just targeted him because they were trying to shut the case down due to politics, and therefore the search warrant was improper. Toss everything that came out of that. That's one of their what they're trying to accomplish. Two, they need to come up with an alternate suspect. This is an old trick by a defense where you say, hey, our guy didn't do it, but then people say, well, then who did? They want to give you somebody that you might believe could have done it. And this is very important because this information is already splashed all over the place now. They've already tainted any jury that could ever be seated. And from the comments I see coming in, oh my gosh, it is working, because so many comments say he's innocent, and this is going to be the boogeyman. This boogeyman over here and his buddies, they're the ones who did it. And if these people end up on a jury, he will walk. Now, three, why do I think they're doing this? Because I think there's enough evidence, I think, that the prosecution could be very successful in court. Now, I'm not saying he's guilty, because, I always get attacked for saying that. And somebody told me that as a profiler, I wasn't a very good professional profiler, because I should be completely objective. I should have no opinion whether he's guilty or not. That's not the way it works. When you're profiling, what you do is analyze the evidence, and you come up with the best avenues of investigation and the most likely suspects. You're objective at the start, but after you review the evidence, you do come up with a determination. You don't sit there forever going, I'd have no idea. Well, then you must not. If that's true, I never examined any of the evidence. So I think they believe that there's enough, especially his confessions. Mind you, he was on the bridge. He admitted to being there on that day. Evidence from his house matches the crime scene, and he confessed over and over again. It's a pretty good case. Now, I'm not saying if it were in a court of law and I was on a jury, I'd find him guilty, but I'm going to say it's a good case. So the three reasons are: they want all that stuff at his house thrown out. They want a boogeyman that you're going to believe. And three, it's because they're worried about him. Them being able to present a defense is going to get him off. All right. So put that aside. Have I changed my mind now that I've read all the documents? The answer is absolutely not. All right. So, but I've learned some interesting things. And so I'll bring all those out. All right. Okay, let's look at some of the main stuff. All right. Now, one of the things they're claiming is that the police just, you know, he he's just they had no reason to suspect him. They just did it because they're trying to close the case. But hey, folks, do you remember this guy? Oh yeah, Keegan Kline. Remember him, the catfisher? That when he was found to have been catfishing, uh, I can't tell you how many people came to me and said, "This is clearly the guy. The police are refusing to do their job. Oh, he definitely did it. He did it with his dad. He did it with these other people." And I kept saying, "I don't think it's him. The way where the girls were attacked, I just don't buy it that this was any kind of catfishing child pedophile ring." Didn't work for me. And this Keegan Kline is so like, he's the guy that sits in the basement, and just plays on the internet trying to be the guy on the right when he looks like the guy on the left. I'm like, I don't see him actually going out and doing things. Oh, but everybody was so upset about that. And why aren't the police getting him? And then when they went to the river, they were like, see, they got him. They got the knife and whatever. What happened to Keegan Kline? Yeah, he got convicted of what he should have been convicted for, which was the stuff he did on the internet. Is the defense team talking about Keegan Kline at all? No, they're not. They haven't mentioned him a bit. He just vanished. And this is one of the things that's so frustrating. What they've done in their document is focus in only on the Odinists, this Odin pagan group, as the ones who had to have done it. Now, and they're saying the police didn't look at them well enough, as if the police were not looking at many people. The police were looking at Keegan Kline. They put a tremendous amount of effort because there was good reasons to look at him, at least because he was catfishing. And hey, the girls had access to that and he had access to them. So the police were working their butts off trying to figure out who did it. And if they wanted to railroad somebody, they should go with Keegan Kline. Nobody likes him, and he has connections to the girls. Why wouldn't they railroad him if they're looking for somebody? Why pick this guy out of nowhere all of a sudden? No, they had better choices. As a matter of fact, if there were a bunch of this pagan group who had connections to the crime that were so good, wouldn't the police just want to take them down instead of this guy? I mean, why not? Because now everybody's saying how creepy these guys are and how horrible they are, and they must have done it. Well, the police could see they'd be easier targets than him. All right, but apparently the police didn't care about the pagans, and they didn't care about Keegan Kline anymore and child pornography and all that. They just threw all that away, could care less about anything, and only targeted this guy. Yeah. Okay. So let's look at some things that were said that I found in the files. The defense included some exhibits. Now, it talks here about Odinism, and it says, wait a minute. It says the court might be thinking something like, well, just because those images are available on the internet concerning Odinism, that has nothing to do with Brad Holder. Oh, who's Brad Holder? He's the boogeyman. He is the main suspect in the eyes of the defense. Keep that in mind. His name is everywhere through this document. He is the ringleader. All right? The ringleader. Him and maybe 3 of his friends, or maybe just 2 of his friends, or maybe just 1 of his friends, but definitely him. And there's a reason why they're choosing him to target. When you talk about targeting, this is really targeting. Okay, so they're saying that Odinism has nothing to do with Brad Holder. Oh, that's not true. So anyway, they have this image, and it's a painting that was produced by the hands of Brad Holder. As the court can see, Brad Holder painted what the defense would call a very creepy serial killer looking image of a naked man hanging from a tree. Well, first of all, he's supposed to be not a serial killer, right? This guy was theorized as a serial killer, but not this guy. He's just supposed to be a pagan, you know what I mean? Who wanted to do, some kind of creepy ceremony. And so he's got this painting of a guy hanging upside down from a tree. It's not a girl, and it's not a girl under a tree. It's a guy hanging from a tree. And somebody pointed this out. So he has a painting of Odin hanging upside down on the tree of life, which is what you expect Odinites to have, just like Catholics have a picture of Jesus. It's a religious picture. It's not a picture of a homicide. All right, let's go further. All right, then it says here, a tipster told law enforcement that she, the tipster, had checked Brad Holder out and found him to be a dark and scary person through some of his postings on Facebook, if you want to check them out. Again, this is an example of a citizen who knows nothing about the secretive crime scene, unlike law enforcement who knew the sticks and tree branches were placed on the girls. Yet, even without knowledge of the crime scene, this tipster, like many others, recognized that Brad Holder's Facebook page was dark and disturbing and required further inspection and investigation, especially knowing that Brad's son was dating Abby Williams. All right. Now, does he have a Facebook page? Yes. Have I looked at it? Yes, I looked at his Facebook page all the way back to like 2015. I looked at what he wrote. I looked at the images on that page, all those images on his page. And I can tell you this. It wasn't dark and disturbing. It really wasn't that bad. So it's interesting when people say dark and disturbing. It's like, what makes it that for some people? Is it because he wore black clothes sometimes? Was it because he was supposedly as Odinist, which, okay, he has stuff on his page, which is, he's obviously interested in the Odin religion. Later on, he's actually interested in some other religious stuff as well. But at the time, before the murders, yes, he kind of was really into that. It didn't mean he was into ritual sacrificing, just meant he thought this religion was really interesting and represented what he wanted to feel about himself. People become Masons, people become Christians, people become Hindus, people become all kinds of things, and then they have all these visual things that match that religion. So I looked at his page. He has things like this. This one was a repost, and this was pointed out that, see, this is dark. I know two types of people: those who will help me hide the body, and those that are the body. So that means he has something to do with the murders. Well, on my computer for many years, I had a sticker that said, "Friends help friends move. Good friends help friends move bodies." Is that dark and horrifying? Does that mean that I'm a killer because I have a quote humorous thing on my computer? And then he has this kind of thing. Oh yeah, okay, here's a guy. He's wearing some, there's camo there, there's guns. You know how many guys in that area wear camo and have guns? I mean, it's just, okay. And as a matter of fact, when you talk about dark and scary, I was just at the bike, I was at the Bike Week 2023 in Ocean City, Maryland. See the guys there? A lot of them wearing black. You see the big beards and all that stuff. And of course, they're on those big bikes, and if you go through, there's an area where you can buy all kinds of stuff there. There's T-shirts and emblems and stuff you can put on your motorcycle, and just all kinds of stuff. Do you know how many skulls I saw? Skeletons, blood gushing out of things, lots of black stuff, tons of black outfits with all kinds of skeletons and skulls, and just a lot of that stuff. Now, are all the guys that went to Bike Fest, are they all a bunch of pagans of some sort? No, they're just guys. And guys, a lot of guys like a lot of dark stuff in general. That's why they get into, some of the type of music they get into, and they listen to stuff that personally I think is creepy. But there's so many guys who do this, it doesn't make them killers. So yes, was this guy into, and let me show you some of the stuff he was into. Okay, here we go. Here he said, Here we have it, Americans for Freemasonry. All right, so he's got another type of symbol there. That could have been what was on the girls' bodies, right? All right, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. It's a positivity statement. Here's another one. This is joy, success, harmonic union, today's message. And this is part of the rune thing, all right? Wunjo, the rune of joy. Set aside some time today to think about and feel what joy means to you. And when you experience it, you may even want to think about what brought you the most joy as a child. If you want more joy in your life, consider the situations in which, I guess, you put yourself in. Well, that's dark, disturbing. Let's see, what's this one? Okay, here's a picture of him with some of the rune things, okay? And of course, everybody's going to point out, third from the left is an F. All right. Here's Odin prepares for a feast. Yes, he's got these things. Here's a book he's reading, which is called, what is it called? I can't remember. The Rites of Odin. Oh, no. Are those ceremonies? Are those ceremonies include dead girls? I doubt it. The Rites of Odin. As a matter of fact, apparently, according to the religion, there is no great proof that there was ever any kind of sacrificial stuff. There was guesswork that there might have been, but the only type of sacrificial stuff there was not young women, but other people that they wanted to kill off. And they were strangled and they were hung, but they weren't killed like these girls with throat slashes. So again, it's stuff. All right, now does he have a rune thing going? Yeah, there's his rune thing. Okay, he's got them. And here are the sticks. Now, this is where they're bringing it all together. Apparently, because he's into this Odin stuff, when he sees some sticks on the ground, and I don't even know if he's putting those sticks on the ground, but he's finding them going, oh, cool, that represents such and such. He likes to take pictures that represent the meanings of the religion that he's in. And these aren't dark things. They're just things. Now you see up on the top, you see that stick that looks like the three-pronged one up there. That's what I pointed out. You can go outside and you can find these things, and there they are, three-pronged, just the same way, And if you see a big one, you pick it up and go, oh, look, I'm Odin, or whatever. But people like representations of things. And every religion has those representations, different symbols, different colors, different pictures of things that all have them. And they don't mean that you're killing people. All right. So then let's see what this says. Okay. Oh, let me get to the next part. Okay. So essentially, let me point out the rune issue. Okay. So the main crux of this whole thing is that they discovered this guy. Okay. And this guy has a Facebook page which has the Odin stuff on it. So therefore, and his son did, I guess, date on one of the girls. And it was like I don't even know if it was really for a really super short time. It was just hardly at all. They were like sort of friends. They didn't even live in the same town. Okay. He said he never even met the girl. So, and I would say if the girls had met him and he was saying down the hill, they would have said, isn't that his father? But they didn't recognize the guy that told them guys down the hill. So it was obviously a stranger to them, not somebody they knew. So this whole rune business, here's the basic things they're saying in there that they're now matching here. Now, mind you, much time has gone by and this was never brought out until, well, people are going to say it's because the police kept it silent. It wasn't until the defense had to defend him that they went back and found these things. They looked at the crime scene and they determined that this was a pagan ritual. And then they had him and they found something on his Facebook page that looked pagan too. And they put the two together. All right. First thing, there's talk about some branches lying upon Abby. They're lying on her. Now, are they and he claims they have these claims that they're runes and they have all these meanings. Now, first of all, you and I have not seen the crime scene. I have no idea what they're looking at. And just because somebody put some branches on somebody doesn't mean it's a pagan ritual or a sacrifice. It can mean all kinds of things. You started covering the body and it gave up. It could mean that you liked emphasizing parts of their body. One was supposed to be like a branch like this, but that went like this and was in the pubic area. Maybe that person just thought that was cool, because serial killers like that stuff. Oh, look at that. It's outlining. Everybody's going to see that. They do strange stuff. And so we don't know what the meaning of this is unless it is so obvious. Now, during the entire report, the defense says it's obviously, it's unquestionably, no one could doubt this. They say this like 50, 60 times because they want you to believe there's no question. And yet I have questions because I've never seen it. And I don't know, just because they say it matches some sticks that were on a ground in his picture doesn't mean that that's what they meant. And it doesn't mean that they were even placed there. They make some other strange comments like, oh, one of the branches has some looked like it was cut with a saw. And one of his friends had a saw. Every one of his friends has a saw. I'm sure he has one too. They're guys, they build stuff. So, it's got a saw. It looks like it's been sawed. So it was premeditated. Oh, wait a minute. Now they're not just using some branches from the scene. They're carting them in. They're carting them into the scene. Oh, maybe just one was carted in. It makes no sense. There's nothing that they say at the scene that's premeditated. It's not like, they actually literally brought stuff in like seats to sit on and fire equipment. So fire stuff. So they could start a big fire, that they brought in posters that they hung on trees or banners or flags. We don't see, or even paint, nothing. Everything that was at the scene, the only thing brought to the scene was a gun and a knife, which any serial killer could have on him at the time. The only things that were used with the girls were at the scene, except for the gun and the knife. Now, they have one other thing, this is the F thing. Okay. So supposedly there's this F on a tree. Okay. The F on the tree. Lord. Let's see if I have that thing about the F on the tree. All right. The stick configuration. Here again, see a spot-on resemblance. Okay, here we go, spot-on resemblance. Another way to tell you it's absolute and you shouldn't question it. For the rune called Hegel, this rune is used to depict the word hail. Therefore, the combination of the Hegel rune found on Abby and the Anzus rune found on the tree, that's the F, when combined would proclaim Hail Odin. Oh, Lord God. I mean, is somebody really out there trying to, okay, let me put part of the sentence here, and let me put part of the sentence there, and now it'll be seen as Hail Odin, at least to us. Okay, so anyway, this supposed F on the tree is supposedly in her blood. Now, so the theory is that he dipped in the blood and then he drew this F of some sort to represent Odin. Now, I haven't seen that tree, and neither have you. It's entirely possible that his hands, he had two fingers with blood on them, and he got up and he grabbed the tree, and his two fingers were on the tree, and he went like this and then dropped his hand. That makes an F. So I don't know that was a painted F, or it was just your hand just went like that. So this is the kind of nonsense in this that is trying to paint this picture of the crime scene as only one thing. It had to be a pagan ritual. And if it's a pagan ritual, you have to look for pagans. All right. And that's the one they're pointing at. The guy, and his name is Brad Holder. All right. So now let me show you a couple things that I think are also very interesting. Now, this is on the day after the crime. All right. So the girls are killed on, what was it again? On February 13th, 2017. Their bodies are found on the 14th. Now, this is a kind of ugly thing he has on his page, and it is on February 14th, 2017. If you're supposed to send people hearts and kittens on Valentine's Day, you're welcome. Okay. So now, does this mean he's a murderer because he put this picture up the day after? First of all, he's a cat lover. He loves dogs and he loves cats. He's got his dogs and his cats and almost everything. And he spends a lot of time with family. He he loves to weight lift. He was trying to lose weight. So he's getting into weightlifting and running and all this kind of stuff. And he likes to joke around. So is that meaningful? Okay, let's look at something else. On the same day, he wrote this. Today's message. Today is a day to focus your energy towards what you know is right. Pull on your inner warrior to guide and encourage you. This rune can help you succeed in a personal endeavor, but only if your intention is aligned with your highest truth. Okay, now if there's something you've been feeling guilty about, today is a day to do the honorable thing. So now do we listen to the first part and say it's another one of the positive things? Or does he feel guilty about something? You see, you can take things any way. Let's look at another one. All right, this is the most important one. I'm going to show it to you right now. Hold on a second. This is the most important one. All right. That's not the picture I want. Where'd my picture go? Hey, everybody knows I always lose a picture. Hold on a second. Well, there you go. I lost it. Okay. The picture is Bridge Guy. All right. And I wanted that picture up from Bridge Guy. And I think I sent it over. You have to send things over from one side to the other. And sometimes they just don't show up. I'm going to try one more time. But think about Bridge Guy. Okay. I'm going to send it over. I did before, but it failed to arrive. So Bridge Guy. Now, he looks well enough like Bridge Guy to be Bridge Guy, and his voice well enough as well. However, does this guy look like Bridge Guy? I want to show you the picture of him on the day after the girls were found. This is on the 15th. This is Brad Holder at Workout Anytime. Look how big his beard is. Now, that is not Bridge Guy. It is not Bridge Guy. Take a look at him here. That is on the 22nd. See that big beard? It's also a little too heavy for Bridge Guy at that point because he hadn't lost weight yet. He has a lot of times his beard is smaller, his beard is bigger, and that he's clean shaven. But at this point in time, this is exactly the way he looked. That's his beard. It's huge. He's not Bridge Guy. So who is Bridge Guy? Now, if you go to all the different, read through that whole document, they don't ever say who Bridge Guy could be. But it's clearly not him. So who is it? One of the other three guys they claim could have been there. Now, I haven't seen all these three guys' pictures, but there's no proof those guys have been there either. Though they never said there was a shred of proof that any of those three men were near the bridge that day. And guess what? There's even something more important. He has an alibi. He has an alibi for the time the girls were killed. He was at work. He clocked into work. He clocked out of work. Not only that, his vehicle was seen on video coming in and going out. But what does the defense say? Somebody else could have clocked in for him. Somebody else could have been driving his truck or his vehicle. That's how they're trying to say he doesn't have an alibi. He's got a pretty good alibi if those two things are true. And he was 30 miles away, and it wasn't near there, and he was working, and he has an alibi. But they're trying to destroy the alibi by saying, I guess there's a whole bunch of other Odinists who just helped him out. They're all in on this together. There are people who work with him, you see. It can't be somebody outside of work because those will be one of the other three guys, right? It has to be some other people inside who are willing to check in and check out for him, lie to the police, drive his vehicle, and they're saying, well, the police didn't go further by talking to everybody to make sure he's physically seen all day long. I don't know if that's true or not, but he was there. His alibi is there, and he was never seen at the bridge or anywhere near the bridge. And neither were, as far as I know, any of the other three, although they're trying to trying to get people to say the descriptions of him were wrong and they actually match one of the others. Here's the fact. There's no evidence that this man has any involvement in the crime. Neither is there any evidence the other three have any involvement in the crime that they put in the as part of the names in that document. So there's simply no proof that he has anything to do with it. Now, it's interesting. The defense team's all mad about how they targeted him, even though he was on the bridge. But they're perfectly willing to target him who wasn't on the bridge, or any of his friends who weren't on the bridge. The police went to his house and found stuff that matched. They say that was wrong. But over at his house, absolutely nothing matches. They don't have anything to link him to the crime outside of his Facebook page, where they have carefully selected things to say, see, the crime scene looks like his Facebook page, so therefore he's guilty. Now, I find it interesting that, remember the West Memphis Three? Well, I think are guilty, but people are like, oh, the police just targeted them because they claimed they were Satanists because, you know, they read some material that people thought was creepy and they wore black clothes. How horrible. These same people are going, yeah, these guys did it. These guys did it because they're pagans. But you can't have it both ways, and neither can the defense. So the claims that they're making are real stretches, shall we say. So as I stand, after I've read all of this stuff, I'm still exactly where I was before. Now, do I recognize that? Yes. Are there Odinists there? Yes, there are. When I was mocking it in the last video, I wasn't saying that there couldn't be people there who were into this stuff. There's people who are into tarot. There's people who are psychics. There are people who are into all kinds of goddess religions and stuff like that. They all exist. It's, you know, it's the way things are. And in this particular part of the country, there happen to be a few guys, and it's not a huge group. It's a few guys. And sometimes they get together, I think on Sunday, stand around a fire and probably drink beer and talk about how strong they are. Or we're big guys. You know, just like people go to the Masonic temples, they go there and they do Mason stuff. And I know people have all kinds of crazy ideas about them too, but a lot of them are just community guys. They go there, they go through some ceremonial crap that I think is kind of funny. But anyway, they like doing that, and they have dinners and they help the community and they do charitable stuff and all kinds of stuff, you know. So these guys are doing the same thing. Just because it's Nordic or white looking, you know what I mean? They're now white supremacists. Maybe they're just white guys who like a religion that makes them feel strong and also has some powerful messages to work hard and fight the evil. Oh, by the way, he has stuff on his website which was fight against child predators, you know. So kind of like, you know, hey, we want to get rid of child sex trafficking. So just a whole bunch of claims. All right. Now, I cannot say that he's guilty, and I cannot say that he couldn't have done something. I can't say that because I don't have all access to evidence. And from what I'm seeing, he still looks more guilty, and he still looks like he has nothing to do with anything outside of the fact some people think he's a weirdo. And of course, that will have to play out in court. And if I ever get to see those crime scene photos, I want to see just how much these sticks and the blood on a tree resemble runes that he's obsessed with. Of course, we have no proof he was at the crime scene. So if he was, somebody else had to be bridge guy, and then he had to sneak in the crime scene from some other aspect. Oh, I forgot. I want to put this one up here. Oh, yes. One man alone. They go on for a long time with this nonsense. One man alone completed all these tasks in less than an hour and 17 minutes. How could that be? And they're saying it's impossible. They said it had to be more than one person because for a guy to take the girls, force them across that little creek, and then take them into the woods, and then he disrobes them, and he does all these things to them. It had to take all this extra time. It needed more people. No, it doesn't. You point the gun at the girls, they go where you tell them. You get them into the woods, you say, take off your clothes. They take off their clothes. That takes a minute. Then he says, lie down on the ground and look away from each other. Put some space in between. You know how you control? You say, you lay on the ground. If you do anything, if you scream, if you complain, if you fight, I will kill your friend. Then you take your knife out, you walk up to the first girl, and you do that. And she doesn't have a chance to respond because she now cannot talk. And you just walk over to the other one, do the same thing. Then you play with them. You can do all of this stuff. And it makes no sense that you can't do it in an hour and 17 minutes. Nonsense. And the other thing they say, well, he couldn't have done it alone because he didn't leave DNA there. He didn't leave any evidence he was there. But yet, 4 guys all together, they don't leave any evidence or any DNA. So that makes sense, right? One guy couldn't have gotten away with not leaving evidence, but 4 guys could. If it's 4 guys, 4 crazy lunatic guys, that place would have evidence everywhere. It's much more likely one guy controlled the scene and walked away. So I stand with what I said before. With the 3 things. They're trying to get the evidence thrown out from the house because that is damning. 2, they're trying to blame it on some boogeyman. And 3, the case isn't good. Oh, and they did say there's these 2 Odin guards. These guards had these, they were wearing these things on their clothing, which I don't know why you'd wear that if you were working as a guard in a prison. I don't know who'd allow that. But they claim that these 2 guys had that, but they don't have any proof of it because they couldn't take photos. But those guys, they were the ones that controlled him and made him confess over and over again. Sure. I mean, that's their story. Unbelievable. So this is now this Odin thing just is they're just everywhere, you know, and they're such a secret society that they're able to do all these things and nobody's catching on. Leaving no evidence anywhere. Okay. But this guy goes on his Facebook page and leaves his runes up there and everything as if it doesn't make any difference. Probably because he thinks it's all silly. But, you know, all I can say again, until I see the crime scene photos that prove there are really any runes there at all, I say, all of you too, you haven't seen it, so stop saying there are things. Just because a defense says it doesn't mean it's true. Even if they believed it, it could just be their imagination that makes them into runes. I've seen profilers imagine things about a crime scene, which that's just their imagination. You can't see that in the crime scene. You're just imagining that's the way the guy thought. That's what the guy must have done. Well, unless you have evidence to support that, it's not so. If these are true runes, if there was a way to prove they were true runes, like if the runes were tied, if the things were tied together, you know, and like standing up around her body like this, and there were each one of the different Odin runes around her body, I might go for it. But a bunch of branches laying there doesn't prove a lot to me. Even if somebody put them there on purpose, it doesn't prove they're runes. So I will await until I see that as any kind of proof that there's any kind of Odin pagan ritual sacrifice of 2 young girls who are, if you're white supremacists, why are you killing off 2 young white girls? You know, really? How does that make any sense? Anyway, I'm going to stop here because I could just blather on, which I feel like I am doing because I find this stuff so concerning, just the way people are buying into this lock, stock, and barrel. They're just like, oh my God, see, it's true. It's a defense document. They'll say anything they can. Anyway, thank you for being here. If you've not been here before, please do subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and check my playlists. And I don't know if I'll be back very soon talking about this because I'm not going to do 50 videos on the same issue. But if I come up with anything that's really earth-shaking or pictures of the crime scene, I'll be back. Bye.